Hello everyone, FrankTastic here, and welcome back to Ghost Recon Breakpoint. In this video, I'm going to be going over the top 10 ASRs that I think you should try out. Now, before we jump into this, I do want to quickly say that the list does not define best to least or least to best or anything like that. This is not a ranking system. This is just simply going down the list from 10 to 1, and that is it. Capiche? And starting this video out with number 10 is going to be the MDR. This weapon is actually pretty good. I've been using it a little bit too often recently. I really enjoy the damage output that this weapon does. Now, statistically speaking, this assault rifle is pretty solid compared to other ASRs. It has a pretty high range as well, along with its 37 damage output. Its fire rate is 650, but I think the biggest downside of this weapon is it only has a 20 round mag and a 25 if you use the extended magazine. So if you get into open combat pretty regularly, you will be putting enemies down quite often, but you will also be reloading as often as well. Now, when it comes to the MDR attachments and what you can and cannot attach, you have two different barrels to choose from, the standard and the short. When it comes to magazines, you only have the standard and the extended. I do recommend the extended because it gives you 5 extra rounds. Standard only gives you 20 rounds and the extended gives 25. And when it comes to muzzle attachments, you do have the basic ones that most weapons do allow you to choose from: compensator, flash shot, muzzle brakes, suppressor, standard, etc, etc. When it comes to the laser sights, you have everything that is available to you in this game to choose from. You have the Optical ×3 laser sight, the MAL DA laser sight, the PEG 15, and even the rangefinder. So when it comes to rail attachments, you have every option to choose from. And when it comes to sights, your options are a little bit more limited, but it does look like most of the sights that you can choose from are still the good ones that people do love and prefer, like the digital sight, for example, along with the EXP3X-G33, which is my personal favorite. And then, of course, as standard, when it comes to trigger, you can choose between auto single and auto burst. And the underbarrel attachments are somewhat similar to most weapons, but you still have a lot to choose from. It does allow the STFG angled grip, which was my favorite underbarrel attachment, but it also allows the RU vertical foregrip, which is my current favorite one. You can also attach the grip pod if you wanted to. You can also attach the bullpup underbarrel grenade launcher if that is your desired choice. Now, you cannot mess with this weapon stock, which is the usual case for most, if not all, bullpup style weapons in this game. But for most of the attachments that you can change and swap in and out is pretty good, pretty basic. The options that you do have are the good ones that you would want on your weapon. Now, when it comes to this weapon's recoil, it is pretty high, especially at the initial burst. It jumps straight up as soon as you pull the trigger. So that would be something that you might have to get used to, especially for controller players. It is nice. The downside is the massive recoil as soon as you pull the trigger, and its 20 to 25 round magazine, which is a big downside if you get into open combat a lot. But its damage output kind of makes up for it, and its range does too. For each weapon that I showcase in this video, I will be hitting the world seed fault. I will not be going in to do stealth. I will be doing this for open combat purposes, because in my testing, almost every weapon performs around about the same if you are doing a stealth operation. As long as you get a headshot, every weapon is a one-shot kill. The only main differences between every weapon when it comes to stealth is probably the range and rate of fire that you might want to pay attention to. But open combat, that's where you really see the difference between weapons. So with that being said, the world seed fault is the location that I would be heading to for every weapon for an open combat scenario. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. Now, for the attachments that I've decided to equip on this weapon for the open combat test is the standard barrel, extended mag, flash hider, MAL DA laser sight, EXP3X-G33 sight, auto single, and the tactical vertical foregrip. All right, here we go. Hold on to your butts. Open combat test initiated.
We get paid the same either way. Shit!
Now, I did forget to turn off the enemy markings like this. I will go ahead and turn that off. Now, I turned the enemy HUD markers on earlier before I started recording because I was doing testing. And as you can see, when you have the markers over an enemy, you can see the distance that they are from you. So that is the reason why I had it on earlier, was to test the range of some of these weapons. All right, let's get back to it. Now remember, this weapon only holds 20 to 25 rounds, depending on the mag you decided to go with. But as you can see, it does some pretty good damage. The damage is really good. It is one of the reasons why I suggested this weapon, and one of the reasons why I personally have it in my arsenal of ASRs that I like to cycle through sometimes. It's a really fun weapon to use, especially for open combat. I think these guys are moving up through the middle. Yeah, it takes like 2-3 shots to the chest to kill someone.
About to get real. Let's smoke. Heads up. I got him.
This guy was shot in the face. The guy was shot in the head and still didn't die.
Some mercy. Keep an eye out. We got enemy activity in the
I think that was a bug.
Stay here.
Alright, and that is that. But yeah, this weapon is pretty good. The recoil honestly isn't that hard to handle if you do have burst fire. It's a really fun weapon. It does really good damage output. And the range as well is very nice. Definitely recommend you guys try it out for yourself and see if you like it or not. Now, let's move on to the next weapon. Now moving to number 9, the next weapon on this list is the Tavor Standard Edition, not the Assault or Tactical or CQC or anything like that. This is the standard Tavor ASR. Now looking at the statistics, and I say this to everybody, don't really compare weapons to their stats because some weapon stats are inaccurate. But if you did want to look at the stats, it is pretty average or a little bit higher or lower compared to some of the others. Its damage output is definitely lower compared to the last weapon that we just used, but its reload is a little bit faster compared to the last weapon as well. Also, it does have a 30 to a 50 round mag if you decided to use the extended or the standard. So that's pretty nice as well. You can attach the short barrel or the standard barrel on it if you wanted to. You also have 3 options of magazines: small, standard, and extended. You have plenty of muzzle attachments to choose from if you decided to take the loud and proud approach compared to the suppressor and stealth playstyle. The only downside of this is if you are a MAW DA laser sight fan, you will not be able to attach that laser sight to this weapon, but you can attach a rangefinder if you wanted to, with a PAC 15 or even the Adaptable ×3 laser sight. Now when it comes to scopes and sights, you do have a couple to choose from. You don't have a whole lot to actually pick, but the ones that you do have are actually pretty good ones. It does allow the digital sight, which is one of my favorites, along with the EXP3X-G33, which is also probably my second or third favorite sight in the game as well. When it comes to the trigger, as the standard auto single or auto and burst. And then when it comes to the underbarrel attachments as well, it has quite a bit to choose from depending on what you are going for. Now I personally don't have too much experience with this weapon, but one of my favorite things about it is it has almost no recoil. As you can see, the recoil is very, very manageable. So for anyone out there, especially console players, if you are having trouble controlling your recoil with your weapon, this might be a weapon that you would want to try, because the recoil is very small. There is some, obviously, but it's not hard to control at all. I don't really have to pull down on my mouse much. Yeah, the recoil is very nice for this weapon. I do recommend it, especially for people who's having difficulty controlling their weapon. Now it does have decent range as well. Most ASRs do have decent range, but it is not a DMR or a sniper, so don't expect a 600 shot with a ASR, especially this one. Alright, with that being said, let's throw this in an open combat scenario. Now the attachments that I would be using on this weapon for the open combat test will be the standard barrel, extended mag, compensator, PEG 15 laser sight, EXP3X-G33 sight, auto single, and the RU vertical foregrip. Alright, hold on to your butts. Things about to get crazy. Open combat test initiated.
We got a shooter in the area.
Yeah, very little to no recoil. Very easy to control this weapon. I think the little to no recoil makes up for its damage output. I don't have to fight this weapon at all.
Hey, like I said, we're cleared hot. See 'em?
Hostiles nearby. Watch your sectors.
We're not alone. Stay alert. We got company.
Probably takes around 4 to 5 bullets to jump somebody compared to the MDR, but it does hold more bullets and the recoil is very easy to control. Everybody's getting dick shots right now. Yeah, I don't even have to pull down on my mouse at all to control this recoil, especially with like short round burst. Very easy to control. Especially for a console player, if you're playing on controller with thumbsticks, this weapon might be a good test for you to try out and see if you like it or not.
Damn it, someone's here. Be ready for a gunfight.
Hostiles nearby. Watch your sectors.
Whoever ends this asshole gets a fat bonus. Watch yourselves. We have
You guys are running for me. There we go. Pretty easy clear. This weapon is very nice. Like I've been saying, the recoil is very manageable, very easy to control. If you're playing on PC, then you would know exactly what I am talking about if you give this weapon a try. There's almost no recoil. You can try it for yourself as well. All these weapons that I am going to be showcasing in this video, like I said earlier, I'm not trying to say that these are the best weapons in the game. These are just the weapons that I find very nice, very useful, and I want to showcase them and say, hey guys, try this weapon for yourself and see if you like it. But yeah, that would be the Tavor standard variant, and let's move on to the next one. Alright, moving on to number 8 on the list is going to be the Silver Stake. This is a weapon that you unlock from completing and beating Walker. This weapon is a pretty big ASR, especially if you look at it while your character is holding it. I think this is probably one of the biggest ASRs in the game. Statistically, obviously, again, as I've said before, you don't really want to focus too much on comparing the stats of weapons to other weapons because some stats can be extremely inaccurate, but it does show that it has a pretty decent range for an ASR. It does do a 37 damage output due to it having 7.62 ammo. It has a 3.15 second reload and a 450 fire rate, so its fire rate is pretty slow. But let's take a look at the attachments that you can put on this weapon. So first off, you cannot change the barrel. Like some of the ASRs, you can't do a standard or a short. Looking at the magazines, you can only do a small mag or a standard mag. The standard gives you 30 rounds while the small gives you 20. Looking at the muzzle attachments, you have the basic options. You can choose from the compensator, flash hider, muzzle brake, standard, or even the suppressor. Looking at the laser sights, you have the basic ones other than the Mall DA laser sight. That is the one that you cannot put on this weapon. Looking at the sights, you have some of the pretty good ones. You have the EXP3XG33 sight along with the digital sight, which is my top 2 favorite. You can also do the Comp M4 if you prefer that over anything else. The MH1 sight is the only red dot sight that you can have on this weapon, other than the EXP3XG33, which comes with the toggleable magnifier for the extra range, equipped with the holographic. You can change the trigger from auto to burst or auto and single. And looking at the underbarrel attachments, you could attach a bipod, grip pod, lightweight, RU, shift, STFG angled, tactical, vertical, none, and the vented angle grip, along with a few others that I currently do not have unlocked, but you can unlock all of these from Maria's shop if you do desire. Now this weapon's recoil, especially in the first couple of rounds, is almost non-existent. The first couple of shots, you don't really notice the recoil until you get past maybe 5, 6, 7 rounds, and then that's when it starts kind of going left and right. Vertical recoil, don't really notice, is more of the horizontal recoil. And the range is indeed pretty decent for an ASR. With that being said, let's get this baby suited up for an open combat scenario. Now, since this is for open combat and not stealth, and I did notice more horizontal recoil compared to vertical, I'm going with the standard magazine, the flash hider, the Aptipole ×3 laser sight, the EXP3X G33 sight, auto single, and the bipod. The bipod is supposed to help with horizontal recoil, along with adding some range. Along with the Aptipole ×3 laser sight is supposed to help with horizontal recoil as well. Alright, hold on to your butts. We're about to engage in open combat. Pretty accurate. Do enjoy that.
Be on alert. Possible hostiles.
Does do pretty good damage as well.
Stay sharp. Not bad guys in here.
3 down right there. I am playing this on extreme, so I do take a little bit more damage than advanced difficulty.
Let's get him. I'll find you, you son of a bitch.
Now, the enemies do not take more or less damage depending on your difficulty. The only thing your difficulty changes is your detection speed and how much damage you take. It's basically all that changes. Even if I was playing this on easy mode, then all these enemies would still take the same amount of bullets to drop. But yeah, this weapon, even with a slow fire rate, it does a pretty good damage output, and its recoil is also very non-existent for your first few rounds. You don't really notice it unless you just hold the trigger down. It's a pretty fun weapon to use. I do enjoy it myself. I don't use it as often as I wish. I think the reason why I don't use it is just due to its massive look. I think the last guy is up here. Always seems like the last guy is hiding up here. Yep, and there we go. Just like that. Even in open combat, it does seem like it takes 2 to 3 rounds to drop. That's probably due to its 37 damage output. But it's pretty nice. I do enjoy this weapon, and for anyone who hasn't tried it, definitely recommend trying this weapon. Like I said, its recoil is almost non-existent unless you just... What was you doing? Why did you climb that? Its recoil is almost non-existent unless you just hold the trigger down, but that's for most weapons. If you just hold it down, it's going to start getting kind of crazy. But I do think the bipod and the Aptipole ×3 laser sight definitely helped with the horizontal recoil, because I did not notice any of it at all. If you have this weapon, definitely give it a shot if you have not. And let's move on to the next one. Alright, now moving to number 7 on the list, we are looking at the 5.53. This is a weapon that most people probably have never tried or even considered trying, but this weapon is actually surprisingly pretty decent, and I do recommend you guys try it out if you haven't tried it in the past. Now, looking at it statistically, it does seem pretty well balanced. There's nothing it's horrible at and nothing it's insane at. Its damage output is 27, which is higher than some of the ASRs, because most of the ASRs, for some reason, is set around 22, 23, and then there's a few that's up to the 37 round. But for a 5.56, you're doing 27 damage output. It's pretty good. I think there are other ASRs that are 5.56 that also does the 27, so it's nothing super crazy or unique, but it is just interesting to note that. Its reload speed is pretty fast as well for an ASR. It's 2.90 seconds. Its fire rate is 700. You can swap between a standard barrel and a short barrel. When it comes to magazines, you have 4 to choose from. You have the standard, which gives you 30 rounds. You have the small, which gives you 20 rounds. You have the extended, which gives you 50 rounds, and the 100 round magazine that gives you, well, 100 rounds. When it comes to the muzzle attachments, you have the basics you can choose from, along with some extra ones like the 5.56 control shield, which I have not yet unlocked from Maria's shop, and the Prism silencer. Now the silencers like Prism and Hive, they don't actually do anything, they're just kind of visual looks. But you do also have the compensator, flash hider, muzzle brake, standard, and the suppressor that you could use on this weapon. When it comes to laser sights, you have everything that you can choose from: the Optical Type 3, MAW DA, PEC 15, and even the rangefinder. When it comes to sights, you have the basics as well. Nothing super crazy, nothing unique, you just have the basic, but at least the ones you do have are the good ones that people usually like to use, like the EXP3, XG33, and even the digital sight. You can change this weapon stock as well. You have a lot to choose from. Some of them are the same ones you can put on the M4A1, like the SOCOM 1 and the TAC Light, but you also have a few others that look a little better with this weapon, like the 5.53 STK. But when it comes to stocks, they don't really make too much of a difference. I usually just go with whatever I think looks the best, because I have done testing with each and every stock, and yeah, you don't really notice any kind of difference. Even if it says -5% vertical recoil, me personally, I've never noticed a difference between this and something else. Maybe that's because I'm on mouse and keyboard, and you might notice it on controller, but I kind of doubt it. So stocks, no matter the weapon, are mostly just cosmetics regardless of what they say. Now you can go from auto single trigger to auto burst, and the underbarrel attachments, you have the grip pod, lightweight RU, shift, STFG, tactical vertical, underbarrel grenade launcher, the underbarrel shotgun, and the vented angled foregrip, along with the other ones that I've yet to unlock from Maria's shop, which I should probably actually do that when I'm done with this video. But yes, you can put the grenade launcher on this weapon along with the underbarrel shotgun. Now, I have done a few testing with the underbarrel shotgun, and it's not as strong as an actual shotgun, but it could be nice to have and maybe something fun to play around with. That could also be said for the grenade launcher as well. Now, the reason why I chose the 5.53 to add into this top 10 weapon list is because of its recoil. It is so easy to use. It is almost non-existent. It is actually kind of crazy. Obviously, at long range, you might notice the recoil a little bit, but that's with any weapon. The further the shot, the more you notice the recoil. But its range itself is actually pretty decent as well. Close to mid-range, you will almost not even notice the recoil, especially up close. Very easy to use. This might be a nice weapon for console players to try out. That guy's dead. Alright, with that being said, let's put this baby into an open combat scenario. Now, since we are going into an active open combat situation, I am going to be using the standard barrel extended mag, not the 100, just due to the 100 mag having a higher reload time. The compensator, MAW DA laser sight, EXP3X G33 sight, the HMM stock, auto single trigger, and the grip pod. Alright, hold on to your butts. Things about to get spicy. Alright, everyone on the helo pad is dead. Got someone coming out of the door. Yeah, this weapon's like little to no recoil, is so nice. And its fire rate's nice as well. Don't mind the bush coming through the front door. Yeah, that fire rate with the very controllable recoil is very nice. You can just drop them so easy.
I got a feeling we're not alone.
Yeah. This gun feels so good to use. gun actually feels pretty nice. I feel like this is probably a weapon that a lot of people overlook.
We got enemies in the area. Get ready. Be ready. We got gunfire nearby. Copy that. We're set over here.
Obviously, if you can get a headshot, it'd be a one-shot drop. But with this weapon's accuracy and its very little to no recoil, should be pretty easy to get those headshots. I think there's...
Bonus to whoever
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think there's someone down below me.
Be ready for
It's like right... Yep. There we go. Nice. Now, the reason why I chose this place to go to for this is because it's pretty close quarters. And there's usually quite a few people here. And also, it's right next to the bivouac, so I don't have to go super far to change weapons, do everything else, and then get to it. This base is very nice to go through and test weapons. And this weapon itself is pretty good. I definitely highly recommend it. I highly recommend every weapon that is on this list. But yeah, this weapon is pretty nice. If you're having trouble controlling your weapon's recoil or stability, give this weapon a shot, see if you like it. And if not, then that's okay. But I have a feeling that some people is definitely going to like this weapon. All right, that's the 553. Let's move on to the next one. All right, moving on to number 6, the SC20K. Now, the reason why I chose the SC20K over the SC40K is because for some odd reason, now this could be a personal opinion, personal preference, but this one just seems to be a little bit more accurate. Not better or anything like that, but it just seems to be accurate, a little bit more accurate at least. And its bullet velocity, you know, the time it takes for its bullet to actually hit its target, seems to be also faster than the SC40K as well. Now, the downside of this weapon that some people may not like is there's not really much you can actually change about this weapon. And when it comes to magazines, you have the standard mag, which gives it 30 rounds, the small mag, which gives it 20, and the extended mag, which gives it 50. When it comes to muzzles, you have the basic muzzle attachments that you can switch to, from compensator to flash outer, muzzle brake, standard suppressor, hive silencer, 5.56 control shield, and a prism as well. When it comes to scopes, there's not really much at all that you can actually use. Some of them I still need to get from Maria's shop, like the RU Red.G33 site, which I actually do enjoy this site. I don't even know why I don't have it unlocked yet. And you can also use the RU Long Range FOV site as well. I think the only good site on this weapon would probably be the digital site or even the Comp M4 site. So when this weapon comes to attachments, there's not really much to choose from. However, for the laser sight, you can attach all rail attachments. The Aptable x3, the Maul, DA, the PEG 15, and even the rangefinder. Now, this weapon's recoil is kinda insane. For the first few rounds, the first initial burst, it's mildly accurate, or at least mildly controllable, but after the 4th, 5th, maybe even the 6th shot, it does start to go up. Just like that. And I'm not even trying to control it. It has a insane vertical recoil. For the first initial burst, it's kind of straight at your target. Now, since we are getting ready for a open combat testing, I'm going to be using the extended mag, compensator, Aptable x3 laser sight, and the digital sight. Alright, and here we go. Open combat testing for the SC20K initiated.
We got company.
Feels so nice. Feels really good. The first initial burst, as long as you don't hold the trigger down. Yeah. That first initial burst feels pretty good. Very controllable. You can usually down your enemy with that first initial burst as well. Like this weapon might also be another weapon that gets slept on. The SC40K is also really good, but I did not want to include both of them in this video So if you don't like the SC20K, or maybe you want to test out both the SC20K and the SC40K yourself, go right ahead. This video is not claiming that these weapons are the best in the game. These are just some weapons that I like using, and I just wanted to showcase these weapons.
Yeah, they're here somewhere. I can feel it.
Its fire rate is pretty nice, and the bullet velocity as well. Like I said, this is one of the weapons where its bullet hits its targets
We got
insanely fast.
Wake up, everybody.
If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it's the fastest one, fastest bullet velocity in the game. For ASRs at least. I will be trying to do every single one of these a little differently from others. Like every time I come to this place. Since this is a third echelon style weapon and outfit, trying to make it somewhat third echelon. Got one right here. Another one over here somewhere.
Shit, I lost visual. Don't let them escape.
It's below. Pretty fast fire rate and a very high muzzle velocity bullet travel. It's very nice.
Take him down. Stay focused. Stop those hostiles. Gonna hit him hard.
Alright, and there we go. Very decent clear. This weapon feels very nice. Its recoil is not that difficult to control as long as you don't hold the trigger down for like 10 seconds. Its bullet velocity is fantastic. Its fire rate is amazing. This weapon is pretty cool, pretty nice to use. Definitely highly recommend it along with every other weapon in this video. So, give this weapon a shot. It is the SC20K. You can also try out the other variant, the SC40K, see which one you like. And that is that. The only downside for this weapon is the weapon attachments themselves. There's not really much you can choose from. Alright, so with that being said, let's move on to the next one. Alright, moving to number 5, the 4AC. This is an amazing weapon, a beautiful weapon. Looks very similar to the M4A1 and the 416, even the 516. This weapon is a blast to use, incredibly fun, and just a really good all-arounder, very well balanced. Looking at the statistics, it kind of proves my point when I say it is very well balanced. But again, as I've said earlier in the video, you cannot really compare a weapon's stats to other weapons because a lot of the stats are very inaccurate. It does do a 27 damage output with an 860 fire rate, which is pretty fast. It also uses 5.56 caliber. You could do the standard barrel or the short barrel. When it comes to magazines, you have 4 options. The standard mag, which gives you 30 rounds, small mag, which gives you 20 rounds, the extended mag, which gives 50, and the 100 round, which gives you, well, obviously 100 rounds. Muzzle attachments is also very basic. It gives you every option in the game, if I'm not mistaken, from compensator to flash hider to muzzle brake to standard, suppressor, and then the other hive and prism suppressors, and even the 5.56 control shield. And then moving on to laser sights, you have every rel attachment option to you. You have the optimal time 3, the MAL DA laser sight, PEC 15, and even the rangefinder. When it comes to sights, this is something that makes this gun very unique and very fun to use, is you have a lot of different sights you can choose from. You have the Comp 4, digital sight, EXP3, XG33, and then the standard EXP-S3, which is just a standard holographic. You have iron sights, the Leopold holo sight, which I personally prefer over any other kind of close quarter red dot holographic sight. You can also use the red dot sight and even the TA31H sight, which is basically a ×4 sight. So there's quite a few sights to choose from, and they are all fun and good. to use, so you can use any sight you want. Now you can change this weapon stock. You have so many different options to choose from. Now I did say this earlier that the stocks are mostly cosmetic. They do claim to have some kind of performance change, but through my testing, no matter which one I chose, I never really noticed any kind of change. So I like to think stocks are just more visually than actually performance. You can also go between auto single and auto burst, and then the underbarrel attachments, you have a lot to choose from as well. Grip pod, lightweight, RU, shift, STFG, tactical, none, vented, and then all the rest that I do not have from Maria Shop because I am lazy, or I just haven't bought them because I just simply do not use these attachments, so I never bought them. The one thing that I noticed that you cannot add on the 4AC would be a grenade launcher or the underbarrel shotgun. So if you are wanting to add that, this is not the weapon for you. Now when it comes to this weapon's accuracy and recoil, it is pretty controllable for the first few rounds, and then it starts getting kind of crazy. So if you know how to do trigger discipline and not hold the trigger down for more than 3 seconds, then you should be pretty okay when it comes to controlling its recoil and stability. It's pretty nice. It's pretty solid. The range on this thing is pretty decent as well. It's pretty fun to use this gun. Definitely recommend it for anyone who hasn't tried it. But we are about to get ready and take it to an open combat scenario. Like I said before earlier in the video, taking these through a stealth test, I never really noticed any kind of difference between the weapons, because as long as you get a headshot, it's a one-shot kill regardless. The only thing that you might ever notice is maybe the range of a weapon, but testing these weapons in open combat scenario is where you really notice the difference. All right, I've kitted this weapon out for the open combat test with the standard barrel, extended mag, compensator, Maul laser sight, the Leopold hollow sight, which I personally really love. Definitely test that side out if you haven't already. The tac light stock, auto single, and the RU vertical foregrip. All right, here we go. Future soldier style, baby.
Watch for hostiles.
Saw a few people running down the hallway.
Hit him! Hostiles in the area.
Yeah, this gun feels very nice.
Alright, I'm moving in. You're dead, asshole. Shoot him! Moving! I got a big hole! How you let this go? Keep it focused. Kill anything that moves! Smoke 'em, boys! Smoke 'em! You're dead, asshole! Yeah!
All right, the last guy is up top.
I'm gonna get me some! Shoot those assholes! Shoot them! I'm gonna light you.
Nice. Now I should have just shot him to showcase the weapon a little bit more, but the fight back knife animations are just too good. It's kind of hard not to, you know, get that when you can. But yeah, this weapon is a very solid weapon. It is very well balanced. It has a very fast fire rate. Definitely recommend trying it out if you haven't in the past. And it's pretty good. It's also a really good weapon against behemoths and drones as well. Some of the other weapons that I mentioned or showcased earlier are also pretty decent against behemoths and drones. I think this is my first time mentioning that. I do apologize. But this one is very nice. due to its fast fire rate. The 5.53 is also pretty good, and the Tavor is pretty good against behemoths and drones as well, due to them having almost no recoil. But yeah, the 4C is pretty good. It's pretty nice. I think the only downside of this weapon that I'm not a big fan of is the sound itself, especially with a suppressor attached to it. So I'll put the suppressor on so I can kind of showcase what I'm talking about. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a suppressed weapon, but I think this weapon compared to some of the other weapons while suppressed, this one just doesn't really give that noise. I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it, but I know other people know exactly what I'm talking about. But other than that, this weapon doesn't really have any kind of downside from me personally. It's definitely a fun weapon to use, so definitely recommend it. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. All right, number 4 on the list is the ACR. This is a very good weapon. It is pretty powerful, and it has a very good range as well. It is a very fun one to use. If you haven't used it, definitely give this one a shot. Looking at its statistics, it seems pretty well balanced and maybe a little lower compared to other ASRs, but I'm telling you, its performance definitely outshines what the stats say. Now, looking at its attachments, you can change the barrel from standard to short. You can also use the standard mag, which gives 30 rounds, the small mag, which gives 20, and the extended, which gives 50. The muzzle attachments are pretty basic as well. You have everything you can choose from compensator to flash to muzzle to standard to suppressor, and even the 5.56 control shield. When it comes to the rail attachments, you also have everything to choose from with rangefinder, PEC 15, maul, and the optimal ×3. When it comes to sights, you have some good options to choose from as well, such as the EXP3X G33 and even the digital sight. But there's not really much else to choose from that are really worth it. You can change the stock as well, but you only have 2 different options. You have the STK and the STK Enhanced. You can change the trigger from single to burst also, and the underbarrel attachments are pretty basic as well. You got the grip pod, lightweight vertical, or U vertical, shift vertical, STFG, tactical vertical. You can attach the grenade launcher and even the underbarrel shotgun as well, if you do desire to. Now, one of the things that I personally enjoy about this weapon is the recoil is not really that crazy. It goes up, not horizontal, so it has more vertical recoil, but again, with that first initial burst, as you can see, it's not really that noticeable at all. So if you get into a firefight, aim for the chest and let the vertical recoil go up to the head. But even then, it's not even crazy. It's not even hard to control at all. So the ACR recoil is very controllable for anyone who's having issues with that. Some of the weapons in the game do have some insane recoil, and some of the weapons that I'm showing in this video have pretty decent to almost no recoil. I mean, every weapon has recoil, but the weapons that I'm showcasing, most of them have very little to almost no, that it's not really anything crazy. Does have a 700 fire rate as well with a 2.95 second reload speed. It does use 5.56 caliber as well. But since we are fixing to take this into an open combat test, I am using the standard barrel, the extended mag, the compensator, the maul DA laser sight, digital sight, STK enhanced stock, auto single trigger, and the grip pod. All right, and here we go. Open combat test initiated. Hello.
We got bad guys in the area.
Just kind of suppressing fire right now.
Watch your sectors. Got enemies in the area. They came to we got company. Put a bullet in his head.
could really hurt someone.
Lady, I've killed quite a few people already.
I'm taking some cover. Watch yourselves. We have hostiles nearby.
He's upstairs.
20 grand for a scalp.
Yeah. I think he's the last one.
I didn't do anything.
Con, stay here.
That's that. It's always the last guy, right? It's always the last one who's trying to run away. But yeah, this gun, again, very nice to use. This is also another good one to use on behemoths and other drones. Almost every weapon that I've showcased, as I said previously, can be used on drones and behemoths. Whether they do good damage or they have very little recoil to constantly hit the weak points on behemoths and drones. But this one does very good. It's a very nice weapon. Definitely give it a shot if you haven't already. But yeah, that would be the ACR. Let's move on to the next one. Now, moving on to number 3, we are looking at the 416 Shorty. Now, it was very difficult to figure out which one I wanted to add into this video, whether it was the standard 416, the 416 Assault, even the 516 and those variants. But I feel like out of all those, the 416 was the best one to add into this video and showcase, mostly due to one main reason. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and look at this weapon's attachments. You can do standard mag, which is 30, the small mag, which is 20, and the extended mag, which gives 50 rounds. Muzzle attachments is again very basic, along with most weapons. Compensator, flash hider, muzzle brake, standard, suppressor, and the 5.56 control shield. You cannot put on the prism or the hive silencers, but it doesn't really matter because they do nothing different compared to a standard suppressor other than just look pretty. Now, the rail attachments, you have everything you can choose from between rangefinder, PEG 15 laser sight, MAL DA laser sight, and the Afterbolt Time 3 laser sight. Now, when it comes to the sights of this weapon, you are pretty limited compared to the standard 416 or even the 516. You cannot use the EXP3 G33 sight that I do love, but it does take the Leopold hollow sight, which I also really enjoy this sight as well, and it does also use the digital sight, which is probably the big fan favorite. You can change it from auto single to auto burst, and the underbarrel attachments are also somewhat limited, but you can attach the grenade launcher on it and the underbarrel shotgun if you wanted to. You can also use the STFG angled grip, the RU vertical foregrip, the grip pod, along with some other underbarrel attachments that are pretty good to use. Now, the reason why I chose the 416 Shorty over the standard 416, 516, etc., is because this one's recoil is actually very manageable to use. The other ones have a pretty crazy recoil after its first initial burst. But this one is pretty manageable. It is slightly there. It does have a slight vertical recoil to it, but if you just burst fire, it is pretty manageable. But I did look at and test the 516, 416, and the other variants, and this one, when it comes to recoil, it just seems more controllable, especially for any kind of controller player or anyone who's having issues with controlling the recoil and stability. But with that being said, the 416, the 416 Assault, the 516, the 516 Shorty, all of those weapons, every single variant of the 416 and 516 are very amazing weapons. I do recommend trying any one of those if you do want to, if you haven't tried it before. I just was not going to be able to fit every single one of those weapons inside this video, but I do recommend trying any 416, any 516, but you probably like one or two, if not all of them. I do prefer the 516. I also really enjoy the 416. They are fun weapons to use. The only difference between those and the 416 Shorty is the recoil, and that's basically what I'm kind of focusing on with this weapon right here. And most of this video, if you haven't realized, majority of the weapons in this video are all based on being able to control the recoil. Now, with that being said, we are about to throw this weapon into an open combat scenario, so I went with the extended mag, compensator, MAL DA laser sight, the Leopold hollow sight, auto single trigger, and the grip pod. Alright, and here we go. Back down for another open combat test.
That shot's fired, so.
Think we got hostiles, guys.
Alright, nice. Very controllable. Does decent damage. I thought I got shot, but apparently not. Mobility seems pretty nuts as well.
I know you're here. Come out. Ugly bastard.
Stay sharp. We got bad guys in the area.
Very nice.
Keep your eyes open.
Do you think this shotgunner is below me? Someone's upstairs though.
Hey, come on, show yourself.
Yeah, it's right below me. Like I said before, it's always the last guy. But yeah, this is what the Leopold sight looks like. It's pretty nice. I like it compared to like the red dot or even the holographic.
I'm gonna take him out.
Like to dinner or what? What do you mean take him out? Nah, he's above me.
Damn it, where are you?
There we go. Pretty nice. Another good clear. This weapon is pretty solid. Do highly recommend it. Again, as I've said multiple times throughout this video, every single weapon that I am showcasing, I recommend. If you haven't tried any of these, definitely give them a shot. All these weapons are in my arsenal of ASRs that I like to flip-flop and switch between pretty regularly. There you go. That is the 416 Shorty. It's pretty fun, pretty good, pretty accurate. Recoil is pretty controllable. Alright, let's move on to number 2. Number 2 on the list, we are looking at the M4A1CQC. Now, again, just like the last one, it was pretty difficult for me to figure out which one I wanted to add to this list. There is a lot of M4A1 variants. There is also the MK18, which is very nice to use and very fun as well. But I think I wanted to add the M4A1CQC instead out of all the other variants, including the MK18, because this one just feels right. It feels good. It's a pretty solid weapon. Its recoil is pretty manageable as well compared to the other variants of the M4A1. Even the MK18, this one has a pretty good manageable recoil. The MK18 is a very nice weapon. I do recommend trying that one as well. But like I said on the last weapon, there's so many really good and fun weapons in this game that I just simply could not fit all of them in this top 10 list. But who knows on what kind of video I might make in the future. But the M4A1CQC, out of all the M4 variants, including the MK18, which is not an M4A1 variant technically, but I did want to go ahead and mention that one because the MK18 is definitely another weapon you guys should try. But the M4A1CQC is one of my favorite M4A1 variants to use in the ASR category. There's also the M4A1 Scout, which is a DMR, but that is, well, classified as a DMR, so we're not really going to mention that one. But the M4A1CQC is definitely the M4A1 variant that you gotta try. Now, like most of the M4A1 variants, it does have a 950 fire rate, which is pretty fast. And when it comes to the magazine attachments, you can do standard, which gives 30 rounds, small, which gives 20, and the extended, which gives 50. The muzzle attachments are also pretty basic, unlike most of the other ASRs. When it comes to rail attachments, you get all the options like the ×3, the maul edge sight, the PAC 15, even the rangefinder. When it comes to scopes, that's where it's a little bit more limited, but the options you do have are the pretty good ones like the Leopold, the digital sight, and the Compium 4 sight. You can also change this weapon stock to anything you like as well. There's plenty to choose from. You can also change it from auto single to auto burst if that is your desired trigger. And the underbarrel attachments are also pretty limited, but it does have good ones. You can also include the grenade launcher and the underbarrel shotgun if you wanted to on this weapon. Now, going back to the reason why I decided to include the M4A1 CQC over the other M4A1 variants and even the MK18, but this one has a pretty controllable fire rate. Now, you can see it kick horizontally, but you can always try to combat that depending on your attachments. But it does feel a lot better and more comfortable compared to the standard M4A1, including the M4A1 Assault. The M4A1 Assault's recoil is kind of insane. It's pretty high, it's pretty up there. But the M4A1 CQC is pretty controllable, especially with the round burst. It's pretty controllable indeed, with a very high fire rate. And I do really enjoy this weapon. Now again, all the M4A1 variants are very fun, extremely fun. I do recommend playing with every single one of these and testing them out yourselves. You can never go wrong with the M4A1. Now, the M4A1 Tactical is probably my favorite M4 variant to use, so I definitely recommend you guys to try this one out. But another reason why I did not add this one to the video is because this one you cannot change the trigger between auto single and auto burst. This one is locked to auto burst, and I know not everyone really likes the auto burst, so I did not want to include this one into the video, but it is worth a mention to try to use this weapon when you get a chance. It's a very fun gun. I use this weapon a lot, probably more than I even like to admit. It's an extremely fun weapon. The M4A1 Tactical is definitely another weapon you should try, but I'm not going to exactly showcase it in this video, as I am going to be showcasing the M4A1 CQC. The MK18 is another worthy mention. It is a very fun gun, very good gun. Its recoil can be a little crazy as well, but nothing too insane. But it's also another weapon that I do recommend you guys to try out and see if you like it or not. As I said previously, you can't really go wrong with the M4A1. Any kind of variant is pretty good, but the CQC version is the one I'm focusing on the most in this video. Now, once again, as we've done throughout this entire video, I have customized the weapon purposely for the open combat test. I went with the extended mag, compensator, ×3 laser sight, Leopold, holographic, SOCOM stock, auto single, and the grip pod. Alright, and here we go. Another open combat test. Just like that. Like I said, very accurate, very solid, very insane high fire rate. It's a pretty fun gun. As long as you do like a burst fire and you just don't hold the trigger down, which that can be said for most weapons. Its fire rate is what really does it. Never go wrong with the M4. Two upstairs, one downstairs.
Enemy activity.
Just like that. This gun is so fun. It's a very fun gun to use. If you love open combat, definitely give this gun a try. Now, all these weapons, as I've mentioned before, they're all really good for stealth. But again, it's every weapon is pretty good for stealth. As long as you get a headshot, it's gonna be a one shot and everything like that. It's really the open combat where you see a difference between weapons, but this one is very fun. It's also extremely good against drones and behemoths. It's a very fun one against those as well. But if you start holding the trigger down, you may see some horizontal, even some vertical. But with this setup that I have right now with it, it's not really, yeah, it's not super crazy at all with the recoil. Kind of just goes in a circle around where you're aiming. So M4A1 CQC for the win. Definitely enjoy this weapon. Highly recommend it, as I highly recommend every weapon that I've mentioned in this video. But time to move on to the last one. Number 1. Let's go. And last but definitely not least, number 1, the ACAR. This weapon is absolutely amazing. It's also a beast of a weapon. This weapon, if you are having trouble going against behemoths, I definitely recommend this one. If you're having trouble fighting drones, I definitely recommend this one. And also this weapon's recoil. There is a little bit of recoil, as there always is with every weapon, but this one is very small, very easily to control, and definitely a very, very good balanced weapon. Highly recommend it. It is called the ACAR, in case you missed it. And yeah, it is definitely one of my favorites. Definitely one of my top 3s, if not one of my top 5s at least. It has a 32 damage output, it is a 7.62 caliber, and it has a 750 fire rate. As you can see, statistically, it is pretty well balanced, definitely on the high side. The only thing I have ever noticed with this weapon compared to some of the others is the range isn't that great, but not really a problem, especially if you're rocking 2 primaries. If you have a DMR or a sniper as your second primary, then you can take care of those long shots pretty easily. Now, looking at the attachments, you can go from the standard to the short barrel. You can also use the standard mag, which gives 30 rounds, small mag, which gives 20, and the extended mag. You have the pretty basic muzzle attachments as most ASRs. It does take the 7.62 control shield, which again I don't have unlocked, but you can get it from Maria's shop if you do want that. But it does come with the compensator, flash hider, muzzle brake, standard, and suppressor. The rail attachments give you every option that you could possibly want. The ×3 laser sight, the Maul laser sight, the PEC-15, and the rangefinder. The only downside to this weapon is it is pretty limited on its sights. You can use iron sights for close quarter or even the Comp M4 sight, but most of the sights are mostly mid-range sights. You could use the RU red dot sight for close quarter if you want to. I do not have that one unlocked. You can get it from Maria's shop, but again, it is one of those attachments that I just never unlocked because I never use it. But the digital sight is probably going to be your best bet for this weapon. You can also go from auto single to auto burst, and the underbarrel attachments are somewhat limited, but not too limited. You can put the underbarrel shotgun on it if you want to, as well as the underbarrel grenade launcher. You can use the tactical vertical, shift, RU, lightweight, and the grip pod. The only attachment here that I see that you cannot attach, which is a pretty good one, that you cannot equip, is the STFG. Now, once again, one of the really amazing things about this weapon is the recoil. It does have vertical recoil, but it's pretty small and very easily to control. You'd probably notice it a little bit more at mid to long range if you're taking those shots, as you can see here. But close range, almost non-existent. Close to mid, almost non-existent. Pretty fast fire rate and pretty high damage. Pretty fun gun overall, and I would definitely recommend using this one if you're going after behemoths. Now, since we are about to get into an open combat scenario with this weapon, I switch over to the standard barrel, extended mag, compensator, Maul laser sight, digital sight, auto single, and grip pod. Alright, and here we go for the last final test showcase scenario. pretty nice. Pretty good. This gun seems so nice. It's 7.62, so the 7.62 in caliber, high damage output, mixed with the fast fire rate. Pretty solid weapon. Combine that with the pretty easily controllable recoil and insane accuracy. It's a very good weapon.
Stay sharp. We got bad guys in the area.
Contact! We got enemy contact! Copy that.
How's that? Went through these guys like cotton candy, dude.
What do you got here?
Easy peasy. Yeah, the ACAR, such a good weapon. It's a beast. Now this weapon is also very strong if you're going after behemoths. Definitely recommend taking this along with you. If you are going to take any ASR, like I said, this is the one I recommend, along with maybe the M4A1 CQC or maybe the ASR. But the ACAR, this weapon right here, it's definitely the one I would want with me if I'm fighting behemoths and drones and stuff. Solid weapon, very good, very strong. Highly recommend. I also recommend every single other weapon that I showcased in this video. Now, just to remind you once again, every single weapon I showcased in this video, I am not claiming these to be the best in the game or anything like that. These are just simply showcasing weapons that I use from time to time, and I wanted to showcase them to let you know, hey, I prefer these weapons. I also highly recommend these weapons, so give these weapons a shot if you never tried them before and see if you like them. And yeah. So with that being said, guys, that is going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you test these guns out yourself and see which ones you like, which ones you don't like. If there's any other things you would like to recommend me in the future, I would try to showcase those as well. And yeah, that is going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more Ghost Recon content from me. Hope everyone has a beautiful day, and you will see me in the next one. Oh, look at that. 69. Fascinating. Huh.